All right. We got The Next 100 Years by George Friedman. Let's see what George is talking about. Also by George. America's Secret War. I'm just going to make you read it here. See it? All right, cool. Forecast for the 21st century. Let's see, when 2009. So 11 years ago. Here's a nice little quote. To him who looks upon the world rationally, the world turns present a rational aspect. The relation is mutual. All right. Overturn, an introduction to American age, the dawn of American age, earthquake, population, computer, and cultural wars. Let's go there. 50. 11 years ago. Let's see how close he was. In 2002, Osama bin Ladin, excuse me, Osama bin Ladin wrote in his letter to America, "You are a nation that exploits women like consumer products or advertising tools, calling upon customers to purchase them. You use women to serve passengers, visitors, and strangers to increase your profit margins. You then rant that you support the liberation of women." Whoa! Wow! Was not expecting that one to come out just like that. We're in the next 100 years, just letting you know. Wow, didn't see that one coming, right? That's kind of like a different book we was reading. So I'm trying to tell you, read these books, you just open them up, you never know what you're gonna read. It's like I'm trying to tell you, Forrest Gump. No, it's like a life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. Life is like a box of books. You never know what you're going to get when you open it up. Okay, as this quote indicates, that Al Qaeda is fighting for the traditional understandings of the family. This is not a minor part of their program. It is at heart. The traditional family is built around some clearly defined principles. First, the home is the domain of the woman, and life outside the house is the pure view of the man. Second, sexuality is something confined to the family and the home. An extramarital, extrafamilial sexuality is unacceptable. Right? Remember, we're talking about population, computers, and cultural wars. Boom. Women who move outside the home invite extramarital sexuality just by being there. Third, women have their primary task, reproduction and nurturing of the next generation. Therefore, intense controls on women are necessary to maintain the integrity of the family and the society. In an interesting way, it is all about women, and bin Laden's wet letter drives this home. What he hates about America is that it promotes a completely different view of women and the family. Al-Qaeda's view is not unique to Osama bin Laden or Islam. The lengths to which that group is prepared to go may be unique, but the issue of women and family defines most major religions. See, now we're getting into what the meat of what he was talking about. Traditional Catholicism, fundamental Protestantism, Orthodox Judaism, and various branches of Buddhism all take similar positions. I did not know this. All these religions are being split internally, as all societies. In the United States, where we speak of the cultural wars, the battlefield is the family and its definition. All societies are being torn between traditionalists and those who are attempting to redefine the family, women, and sexuality. This conflict is going to intensify in the 21st century, but the traditionalists are fighting a defensive and ultimately losing battle. The reason is that over the past 100 years, this very fabric of human life, and particularly the life of human, has been transformed. This is very, like, I've never really thought of it like this. And with its structure of the family, what has already happened in Europe and the United States and Japan is spreading to the rest of the world. These issues will rip many societies apart, but in the end, the transformation of the family can't be stopped. That is not to say that transformation is inherently a good idea or a bad one. Instead, this trend is unstoppable because the demographic realities of the world are being transformed. The single most important demographic change in the world right now is the dramatic decline everywhere in birth rates. Let me repeat that. The most meaningful statistic in the world is an overall decline in birth rates. Women are having fewer and fewer children every year. That means not only that the population explosion of the last 2 centuries is going to end, but also that women are spending much less time bearing and nurturing children, even as their life expectancy, like, longer, has soared. This is, how much is this? That's extremely interesting. Now, we're probably, like, this is just one chapter, but I also want to understand the fault lines. So we're going to read a little bit about fault line, the new fault lines, because I've seen a cool picture, right? So we'll go over it too. So right here, this is the Pacific trade routes, right? And then we also, in the new fault lines, he also says that successor states of the Soviet Union. I mean, this is older, but I mean, again, you see how, I mean, man, I'm trying to tell you, it's crazy, because if, let's say, boom, we're talking about Soviet Union, boom, Cold War, Soviet Union. We learned a little bit about that earlier today, or in this box, right? And then Ukraine's strategic significance, right? And we'll look right here. And what they're saying is, I mean, let me see if I can kind of, before we go too far into it. All right. Had Russia fragmented to this extent, it would have created chaos in Eurasia, to which the United States would have objected, since the U.S. grand strategy has always aimed for the fragmentation of Eurasia as the first line of defense for U.S. control of the seas. As we have seen, so the United States had every reason to encourage this process. Russia had every reason to block it. After what Russia regarded as American attempt to further damage it. Now, obviously, during this, I just kind of jumped right in, right? That's because of time, but of course, I'm going to go more into where I was talking about. Damage it. Moscow reverted to a strategy of reasserting its sphere of influence in the areas of the former Soviet Union. The great retreat of Russia power ended in Ukraine. Russian influence is now increasing in 3 directions: toward Central Asia, toward the Caucasus, and inevitably towards the west, the Baltics, and Eastern Europe for the next generation until roughly 2020. Russia's primary concern will be reconstruction of the Russian state and the reasserting Russian power in the region. Let's see, why are they doing that? All right, increasingly the geographical or geopolitical shift is aligned with an economic shift. Putin sees Russia less as an industrial power than as an exporter of raw materials, the most important of which is energy, particularly natural gas. Moving to bring the energy industry under state supervision, if not direct control, he is forcing out foreign interests and reorienting the industry towards exports, particularly to Europe. High energy prices have helped stabilize Russia's economy internally. All right, it talks about the Soviet, but it doesn't go too much into it. But this is pretty interesting, because then it talks about the new, like the 4 Europes right here. Never really thought of it like that before we go. Look at the map and I'll explain it to you, and then I gotta go. The lines is the Scandinavia, Europe. Then we have Atlantic Europe. We have Eastern Europe. We have Central Europe. And those are the 4 Europes. So Central Europe is your Germany or your Italy or Switzerland. Atlantic is, you know, Ireland, United Kingdom, France, Spain, Portugal. Eastern is everything east of Germany and Italy. They don't even consider... Look, they don't even consider Greece part of Europe in this map. Anywho, that's interesting. Oh, then we even talk about the Muslim state. We talk about Turkey in 2008. Oh man, yeah, this is going to be very interesting. We talk about Mexico. If you're looking for new challenges after U.S. jihadist war is over, there are 2 obvious places to look. Mexico and Turkey are clearly not ready for a significant global role, and Europe remain insular and divided. That leaves 2 fault lines, Pacific and Eurasia, and in the context of 2020, that means 2 countries possibly asserting themselves, China or Russia. A third possibility, more distant, is Japan. So it's 2020. Remember, he wrote this book in 2009. A lot of interesting things. It's 2021, actually. China's more dominant. Russia a little bit more dominant. Like to see what else he has to say. Nonetheless, interesting book. Interesting to see his perspective.